Welcome to today's English listening and speaking practice. Listen carefully, follow the subtitles, and try to repeat the sentences aloud. Let's begin. Why the Internet Isn't the Death of the Post Office by James Fallows. Millions of people now rent their movies the Netflix way. They fill out a wish list from the 50,000 titles on the company's website and receive the first few DVDs in the mail. When they mail each one back, the next one on the list is sent. The Netflix model has been exhaustively analyzed for its disruptive, new economy implications. What will it mean for video stores like Blockbuster, which has, in fact, started a similar service? What will it mean for movie studios and theaters? What does it show about long tail businesses, ones that amalgamate many niche markets, like those for Dutch movies or classic musicals, into a single target audience? But one other major implication has barely been mentioned: what this and similar internet based businesses mean for that stalwart of the old economy, the United States Postal Service. Every day, some 2 million Netflix envelopes come and go as first class mail. They are joined by millions of other shipments from online pharmacies, eBay vendors, Amazon.com, and other businesses that did not exist before the internet. The eclipse of snail mail in the age of instant electronic communication has been predicted at least as often as the coming of the paperless office. But the consumption of paper keeps rising. It has roughly doubled since 1980, with less use of newsprint and much more of ordinary office paper. And so, with some nuances and internal changes, does the flow of material carried by mail. On average, an American household receives twice as many pieces of mail a day as it did in the 1970s. Is the internet hurting the mail or helping? Asks Michael J. Critelli, a co-chairman of the Public-Private Mail Industry Task Force. It's doing both. Mr. Critelli's day job is chief executive of Pitney Bowes. Yes, that Pitney Bowes, once known for its postage meters and now a mail and document management company. In the last few years, it has also functioned as a research group for the mail industry, commissioning a series of studies available free at postinsight.pb.com that contains startling findings about the economic, technological, and cultural forces that affect use of mail. The harmful side of the internet's impact is obvious, but statistically less important than many would guess. People naturally write fewer letters when they can send email messages. To leaf through a box of old paper correspondence is to know what has been lost in this shift: the pretty stamps, the varying look and feel of handwritten and typed correspondence, the tangible object that was once in the sender's hands. To stay in instant touch with parents, children, and colleagues around the world is to know what's been gained. But even before email, personal letters had shrunk to a tiny share of the flow. As a consultant, Fuad H. Nader wrote in a Pitney Bowes study, personal mail had long ago been reduced to a minimum with the proliferation of telephone services in the last 50 years. Personal letters of all sorts, called household-to-household correspondence, account for less than 1% of the 100 billion pieces of first-class mail that the Postal Service handles each year. Most of that personal mail consists of greeting cards, invitations, announcements, and other mail with emotional content, a category that is generally holding its own. The same higher income households that rely the most on email correspondence also send and receive the most letters. Whatever shrinkage email has caused in personal correspondence, it is not likely to do much more. The internet and allied technologies, meanwhile, are increasing the volume of old-fashioned mail in three ways. The first follows the Netflix example: postal service fulfillment of transactions made on the internet. About 2 million prescriptions a day, roughly one-fifth of the total, are delivered by first-class mail. eBay's vendors list 5 million new items daily, and those that are sold ship mainly by mail. One Pitney Bowes study found that online retailers were increasingly using paper catalogs sent through the mail to steer people to their sites. The second force also involves finance. Many studies conclude that people are more and more willing to make payments online, but that they strongly prefer to receive the original bills on paper by mail. Since the late 1980s, mail to households from credit card companies has risen about 10% a year. Americans' financial lives have become more complicated, in part because of choices created by the internet. In turn, banks, telecommunication companies, insurance companies, and investment houses send more mail. Third is the sleeper, the increasing sophistication of the Postal Service's own technology. Everyone takes for granted that FedEx and the United Parcel Service can track the movement of each item through their systems. The Postal Service has now installed similar scanning equipment, and in principle, it can barcode and scan every envelope or postcard and know where it is at any time. In reality, it does this mainly for a fee, for businesses that want to know their material has reached the right audience at the right time. For instance, the Thursday before a weekend sale at a local store. In internet terms, this and related improvements are intended to make advertising mail less like spam, unwanted and discarded, and more like embedded ads tied to the content of a particular website. Over time, there is an increasing ability to send you only what's interesting to you at a time when you're interested in it, Mr. Critelli says. If you have just moved, for example, that may mean mail from your new area's window cleaning or handyman services. He says response rates to these targeted mailings are better than the dismal rates for the usual direct mail campaigns. The most touching artifact among these email studies is a survey conducted by the Postal Service called the Mail Moment. Two-thirds of all consumers do not expect to receive personal mail, but when they do, it makes their day, it concluded. This hope keeps them coming back each day. Even in this age of technology, according to the survey, 55% of Americans said they looked forward to discovering what each day's mail might hold. Now, I'll confess my bias. My first real job was at the post office. On the day when I was paroled from the sorting floor to substitute for an absent letter carrier, I felt as if I were bringing the mail moment to people along the route. It's nice to think that such moments will survive the internet. Great job. Listen again and try to repeat the sentences aloud. With regular practice, your English will become more natural and fluent. See you in the next lesson.